Hi, this video is just going to show you a couple things about the greatest integer function to help you out. Just so you know, the greatest integer function is shown with brackets, and it is the integer immediately to the left of that number on the number line. So if you have 4.1, here's your number line. Slide down here. 4.1 would be right here, and if you move down or to the left, you would be right at 4. Same thing, if it was 4.9, same thing. You round down to the nearest integer. If it's negative, I'm going to be honest, it's good to look at a number line. So if you had negative 5.3, think about where that is located on the number line. That's like right here. And the integer that's smaller than that, if you rounded down, is actually negative 6. Same thing if it was negative 5.1. If they're ever asking you for the greatest integer of an integer, it is that one, because you don't no need to round down on it. It is an integer. So again, greatest integer function means round down to the nearest integer always. Round down. Okay, now let's look at the graphs. If you have to graph one, you can use your calculator because they are a little bit different. What you want to do is make sure you turn it on, and anytime you graph, you want to hit y equals. I'm going to clear what I have in there. If I want to graph the greatest integer function of x, what you do is you hit math, go over to num, scroll down to number 5, and that's the brackets. Instead of having brackets, it actually writes int and open parentheses x, and then I want to graph it. And you will see that it makes steps, because it'll stay a certain integer, then it goes up to the next. So that's how you graph it if you use your calculator. Now I do want to show you how to graph one by hand, so you're not stuck with always having to do it on your calculator. Okay, let me show you this one. And when you do, the difference between this and regular graphing is that you need to be able to figure out the range of x values that would give you that certain greatest integer answer. So let's look. If I plug in anything between 0 and 1, including 0, but not including 1, so 0 all the way up until 1, and I take the greatest integer of it, it would be a 0, and then we would add 1, and you'd get a 1. So anything within that area, you would, you would get a 1. So let me erase that, pardon me. Anything between 0 and 1, you would get 1. Next group, if I plug in anything between 1 and 2, not including 2, and I find the greatest integer of that, greatest integer of any of those numbers, I get 1, but I'm also saying to add 1 to it, so I'd get 2. So anything between 1 and 2, I'm going to get 2, but remember, I'm not putting 2 in, because if I actually put 2 in, the greatest integer of 2 is 2, plus 1 would give me 3. That would be my next step. Next one, anything between 2 and 3. If I plugged any numbers in here, I would get a 2. Add 1, I'd get 3, so you'll see the steps are starting to develop. Now, if I'm graphing it by hand, I'm going to be honest with you, I will just do the positive x's, and then I'll just duplicate it and follow the pattern on the other side. Hope that helps.